the time.
Forever? Tangent. Old.
Halt.
Hashtag always MGM.
You are approaching the unloading area.
Calm down. AK haters.
But what if it could?
Behold, the majesty of the Sistine Ceiling.
For the kids.
A salute to all theme parks, but mostly Walt Disney World.
What a cute ending.
Aloha, and
Don't DIllo it.
This is Theme Park Thursday with DIllo's Diz. She is Jen.
Hello.
And I am Frank, and we are here a week after we did a whole Dancing with the Stars recap. Dancing with the Stars was in Disneyland, so we tied in some parks news with some Dancing with the Stars chat. But that Dancing with the Stars episode, it was centered around Disneyland at 70. So I was like, oh, we need to do at Disneyland at 70. I mean, I think that was a conversation both of us had, and finding out how that would happen, because I did not get to see any of the Disneyland at 70 stuff because I was there at February break, you know, for us Northeasterners. I was going to say a February break, like everyone knows what that is, but our February break here in the Northeast. But we figured we would go to a father-daughter duo here to talk a little bit about their Disneyland at 70 trip this summer. Jen, you want to elaborate a little further?
Oh, sure. I mean, first of all, this whole chat is just going to make me kind of depressed and have the FOMO, as we were talking about what is nostalgic and what is FOMO. I will have all the FOMO tonight, but our friends Troy and Mimi from Disney Assembled are here to tell us all about their trip as we take a trip down the nostalgic memory lane of Disneyland turning 70. So welcome, Troy and Mimi, back to the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having us. We're thrilled.
Yeah, I'm happy to be back. Definitely down to talk about Disneyland. You know what's like actually crazy when you just said that? Like the concept of Disneyland being 70 years old, and like the concept of someone being like older than Disneyland like really freaks me out. Like my dad is like almost slightly barely younger than Disney World, which is like really beyond me.
Okay.
like I really like you almost existed in a world in which Epcot did not exist. Which is just like wild to me. But we're not here to talk about Disney World. But like the concept of being older than Disneyland.
I was concerned where you were going with that. I am significantly younger than Disneyland. I am.
Yes.
Right. So I thought you were going to a place that I was about to say, wait a minute, the math isn't mathing on this. So. But no, we're glad to be here. We had a great time, and we're happy to share what we saw with everyone about the 70th.
Troy and I are both. Oh, sorry, Jen, go ahead.
So I was just going to say, let us all remember that no one is as old as Frank. Numbers don't matter. Frank is always the oldest, no matter what. Go on.
Especially in his birthday month. But I was going to say that Troy and I both are older than Epcot. Jen is also older than Epcot by 9 months.
By 9 months only, just by
9 months. Same year.
That's just like absurd to me to like conceptualize. This is like it's like it just like does not make sense in my head.
I agree. No, it doesn't make sense in my head either.
Like the idea of it not always existing like really just kind of like rubs me the wrong way. It's like
Mimi, you're older than the Riviera Resort.
Colonized everybody,
it's
and
totally
then like
the
Disney
same.
World was built. Like I don't know, like maybe the mouse just like got me or something, but like the idea of it not existing is like really freaky. Like what was there? Swamp? Like
yes,
that's
desert?
What it was. It was not desert, I can tell you that. No.
Well, no, in California.
Oh,
obviously not desert in Florida.
Yeah.
Just desert. Just area waiting to be capitalized on. Well, Jen and I love a good anniversary. Like as we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, we like now I'm like thinking in years. So maybe he's got me on like how many years ago was it? But we love from I think our first anniversary that we were in Walt Disney World for, which was the 15-year anniversary. 15 years, we're having a party. So anytime that there's a big anniversary, we're like, ooh, what are they doing? How are they celebrating? What are going to be the things? So. With Disneyland at 70, obviously they got the outfits, and I don't know if they're adding like new things necessarily because they only have so much room. But in terms of your planning for this trip this summer and everything you did, how much did the Disneyland at 70 play into the planning process?
It was part of it. So the trip was not planned to be a Disneyland trip. So it's the road trip is something that my mom and I do separately from the boys, and it started 2 summers ago, back when I wanted to be a journalism major, and we toured all of these like Midwest colleges like Illinois, Indiana, like Missouri, went to all those places. And and the summer after my senior year, my mom was like, you want to do it again? And I was like, yeah, we want to do it again. So we did it again. And then this summer she was like, let's go west. I was like, awesome, sounds good, but if we're gonna go to California, like if the end goal is in California, do you think, well, originally the end goal was LA, because I've never been to LA and I wanted to go. And I wanted to see the Severance Wall. And I was like, if the end goal is California and LA, like, can we take 2 days and you and I can just like stay off property, go to Disneyland, like it doesn't have to be super serious. And then, like, creeping around the corner in the shadows comes my dad, and he's like, Disneyland, you say? Like, and then, an hour later, we're now 5 days in at the Grand Californian, and now it's a thing. So it didn't necessarily revolve around Disneyland 70th, but, like, Papa came around and he was like, well, it's also the 70th, and, like, then it would be worth it to go, and they're running this deal, and, like, and we could stay at the Grand Californian, and, like, all these things, and he, like, whipped out all this, like, knowledge on his phone, and Mom's like, okay, whatever, just email Neil, like, and that was that.
Well, the original plan was I was going to put the boy child on a plane, and he was going to fly by himself. And the girls were going to take him to a Padres game because that's his thing. He wants to go to baseball games. So they were going to go to a Padres game, and then I think they were going to go to Disneyland. I think y'all were going to bring him up there or whatever.
It was going to be like a 2-3 day thing max.
Yeah, I was working, and then I was able to get out of a few days, and so it ended up me going, and it got way more expensive. But I would say the 70th was important in the sense that we knew that they were celebrating something, and okay, it's nice that they have something going on. Let's go check it out. I mean, we got the little key above my head over here from the magic key thing, but I wouldn't say that the anniversary was a driving force to going on the trip, but it was a nice overlay, I would say, to the trip itself.
I would also say, like, as the planning kept going, the anniversary became more important. Like, it wasn't like it's, Disneyland 70th, like, we need to go, whatever. It was like I guess that sort of comes from the fact that Disneyland isn't the park that we visit most frequently, so it didn't really, like, clock as something that was even happening. And then I was like, oh wait, like that's the key thing, and then like, oh, and there's this tour, and then like, whatever. And like as the planning process went on, we were sort of learning a little bit more about like what the celebration would add to the trip, and like it definitely elevated it for sure. Plus, if you, as Disney might put it, plus to the trip.
Yeah.
Nice. That's I love the build of that too, because sometimes that happens where you don't know that with a trip you're planning, it's like, oh great, I'm gonna get to go to the parks, but then you realize what else is going on in the moment, whether it's an anniversary or it's food and wine. It can be anything at that point, the holidays, that then you get more excited by the idea. So how many nights / park days total were included when it all was said and done and the price had risen exponentially?
Yeah. We were the 4 days. I think we were in the parks 4 days. And
You were in the park 4 days. I was in the park 4.5 days.
Right, yeah.
Mom
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
got there the
So-
night before the boys went, and she was like, oh, like, let's just go. Let's just add the extra half day. It's fine. We'll just go. And she, like, bought the tickets, and we went in. So, yeah, it was like 5 nights, 4 days. That was the package.
Yeah, they did something. I don't know, and Mimi can share maybe some of the details as long. But we were at the Padres game. We did go to the Padres game. They left us and drove to Anaheim. Something happened at the Grand Californian, and it was a mix-up or a problem, and Mrs. Disney voiced her opinion to the powers that be, and they ended up with like a half-day park thing where they ended up going into the parks that night. I don't know if it was in lieu of something
Do you
else
want me
that
to tell
they were.
that story? I'm happy to tell
Yeah, I
that
don't.
story.
Yeah, what happened?
So it's kind of, I will say, it comes from a pretty vulnerable spot, and I haven't talked about this aspect of my summer even on our podcast. So the theme of the trip was, let's do everything we can to make Mimi feel better. Because I lost my best friend in June. And so the theme of the trip was like, let's just like make her happy. And so we get to the Grand Californian, and it's a very different experience in Disneyland than it is in Disney World. And, you know, my mom and I have been on the road for 6 days, and I'm really sad, and like all this stuff is like compounding, and I'm like terrified about going back to school, and like, because Disneyland was sort of signifying the end of the trip. And so it was like a lot of feelings like coming into the resort. On top of the fact that it's just not as simple of a check-in process as it is in Orlando. So, like, we're dealing with concierge, and, like, magic bands aren't worth anything. We now have to carry a key, and, like, the club is closed, and we're hungry, and this and that and the other thing. And, like, you know, my mom, being my mom, right? Like, I mean, like, Jen, your mom, like, you get it. Like, she was, like, this sucks, and like Mimi's already upset, and like now this is hard, and now she's not having a good time, and like whatever, and like, you know, we need her to be happy. And so she kind of, I mean, like in this like mama bear freak out, like goes off, and this concierge lady like storms off. And I walk back up to the lady, and I'm like, look, hey, like, you know, I'm not trying to like trauma dump all over you, but let me explain why she's acting that way. Like, let me, like, she's not just some, like, Karen yelling at you, okay? Like, it's just, like, there's a lot more going on behind the scenes with us and our behavior. And the woman looks at me, and she's like, that's actually, like, really helpful. Like, thank you for the apology and, like, the story. And she gives us a $350 credit on our account that we then, from there, put towards an extra park ticket for the both of us, and then we spend the night in the park essentially for free. And
Yeah.
that was that.
So a little bit of magic to help out with a difficult situation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
But-
as light of a story, I guess, but it's a good one for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And I'm so sorry that you went through that and that you're still going through that. And but I am happy that you had some magic come your way in Disneyland.
Yeah.
And it was great that you were able to go, hey, you know what? This is what's going on, and be honest with the cast member, and your mom is a true mama bear for being like, no, this is not okay. We
Yeah.
are going to make magic happen. What is happening, people? So yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Yeah,
that
she
the
was
magic
she was on it. The concierge lady was so nice, and like we started that trip like in Cars Land, and like it was so much fun, and like we park hopped, and we were like, this is so easy, like going from park to park is so easy, and like whatever. And then, you know, we came home, we went to Springs and spent a lot of money on things and whatnot.
Then the boys arrived, and it was all downhill from there. So,
Yeah, well,
but
That's how it goes. Well, I guess maybe for you too. Once you were in the park and popping and seeing the ease and seeing, experiencing springs and spending money that way, because it does all of a sudden it really jumps out of how the convenience of the proximity of everything in Disneyland. What other first impressions did you have?
First impressions, I think the Grand Californian is just gorgeous on the inside. Like, that's really the first thing that hits you. Like, it's just beautiful on the inside, and it's huge, but it's like almost to scale, I guess. Like, Disneyland definitely has like a scaling thing going on there because it's so much smaller of a space, so it doesn't feel so like grandiose and like elaborate and stuff, but it was still like gorgeous. And so, like, first impressions, I was like, this is cool, I'm excited to see what goes on from there. It's definitely a maze. That was the first impression of the resort. I was like, where are we? How do we get to our room? Papa can attest to that. Like, they rolled in at like 2 a.m. and like called us, and they were like, where's the room? How do we get there? And Mom's like, well, you turn left, and then you turn left again, and then you go down the hallway, you take the secret passageway, and then you open you pull the book, and then the door opens, and then but I guess, like, first impression Disneyland is it was just like nothing like I remembered it being, I guess, and not in a bad way. I was just like completely experiencing it for the first time again, almost, through the eyes of an adult, and it feels like it's just like this is not elegant at all, I guess, but it's like not, it's just so different. It's just so different from the other one, and that's how I felt the whole time. Not worse, not better, just like so different. And I felt like I was adjusting throughout the whole trip to like the things about it that were different, and the things that were different about it were good for sure. Like, I think Disney World at times feels like a theme park that is run by a massive corporation that pushes people through and makes tons of money, and that's one of the things I love about it. Like, whatever. And it is massive. It's definitely this very like, capitalistic greed, capital C, capital G, right? But that's one of the things I love about it, right? Like, yes, you spend my money on build stuff, like, fine, whatever, I'm giving it to you. But California, Disneyland, like, feels like, we said this on our episode, but it feels like a place where you go and you take your kid for the day and you eat some popcorn and you ride a few rides and then you go home. And it's definitely an adjustment in the vibe, because I was just like, go, 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 go. That's kind of my park. That's my park mentality. But Disneyland's not really a park where you can go, 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 go. You have to slow down. And I guess that was the first impression.
No, I love, how old were you when you went, when you were younger?
12?
It was 2017. Yeah, it was a while
12.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a big, just that 6-7 year difference is a big shift in how you view the park. What your perspective is. Troy, for you coming in like gangbusters. You're all a vibe guy. I know you're a vibe guy, so that's going to be a big part of this. But what were your aspirations? What were your objectives? What were your goals? Go.
I wanted to, when we were there in 2017, we were there with a friend of the family, and so we were sort of being pulled around the park by that friend of the family. And so on this trip, I really wanted to try to take my time and really see the park, as opposed to just go from thing to thing to thing and experience it. So the things that and the family gets frustrated with me over this. Like, so I'm the guy that stood in front of the petrified tree and took pictures of the petrified tree, because I was like, this is an important part of Disney park history. And they're like, why? And I was like, because Walt's wife gave him this tree and they put it in the park and it's here and it's got a plaque and I'm going to take a picture of the plaque. So yes, I wanted to try to confirm sort of, I guess, a theory I have about the two parks, and that is, Disneyland is where Disney sort of perfected how to grow certain pieces of a garden, like certain flowers, certain crops. And then they went to Florida, and this is where they built their giant farm, because they learned how to do this really, really well here at a very small scale. And then they went over here and built this massive thing. And it's very similar in both, because you can clearly see the influences of one park to the other, even in backwards, right? Because, Florida being what it is, and Disneyland wanting to stay relevant in the vacation market to a certain extent, they have to try to continue to evolve Disneyland on a very small scale. So I went into it wanting to soak up the ambiance and see some things we didn't see in 2017. Because keep in mind, there was no Avengers Campus, there was no Galaxy's Edge, there was I think those are the big things that weren't there back in 2017. But
Right.
I wanted to sort of take my time and then to ride the attractions that I know were not in Florida. And that was a really important part of it, sort of make sure I hit those attractions as much as I could. But the 70th stuff, all these anniversaries, 70th anniversary, okay, it's not 75, it's not 100, it's not 50, it's a 0 or a 5 year. So let's make some special pins and put some stuff out. And they had a big giant, display in the space between the two parks that you could go up to and see. But other than costumes and some signs and theming, they weren't really shoving the 70th down your throat. The one thing about the 70th that I found interesting is that in every merch shop, you could still buy T-shirts that said "I was there on the day," and it had the actual 70th birthday on there. They had not sold nearly as many of those as they thought. So you could have been there 3 months later, and you could still gotten a shirt that said you were there on the actual birthday. But yeah, that was my thing. I think it's just doing what I hadn't done before and sort of trying to find those little pieces of Disney lore that only exist at Disneyland. And there's a lot more than people think there that is just integral to the whole Disney parks, universe.
Being the person in this room that has not been to Disneyland, something I hear often is whether you've been to Disneyland more than once or you just go for the first time, you feel the sense of nostalgia just being in the park because it was the first and all of that. Did you both feel that, especially Troy, for you being a vibe guy? But is there that sense of like, this is where it started, I feel it in the bones of the park?
You feel it walking in the main gates at Disneyland. That's where you feel it. I felt it. We did do a 70th anniversary tour. We did do one of those little tours. A little bit in the tour, you felt it because a lot of the story was hearkening back to the history. You don't really feel that at California Adventure. That you don't. It's not really there. And I would say entering the park on the monorail through Tomorrowland, I didn't really feel. I mean, once you do that one time, it's really cool. But then once you've done it, it's like, okay, well, this is just another way to get in the park. And then we ended up going in that way most of the time anyway, because it was easier than going through the front gate. But I think it's part of it is what they had under construction too. That I think took away from it a little bit. I mean, like the Storyland canal boats were all walled off, and I was like, oh no. I mean, it was one of the things I was like, because I wanted to ride that. But yeah, I mean, you see, the Small World facade, and you go through New Orleans Square, and I mean, you can't help but, you see the videos of Walt in the park, and this is kind of where he was, and it's kind of, it's really neat to think about it that way.
See, I didn't pick up on a vibe. Like, it didn't feel any more or less nostalgic than the other one. Arguably, for me, it felt less nostalgic than the other one because I every time we've ever been to Disneyland has been under some sort of like highly stressful emotional time in our lives, and so I'm just kind of like, I maybe it's not associated with great memories. I mean, it is. Like, it totally is. It's totally marked as like a safe haven from bad things that happen to us as a family. But I didn't have the wow, like I'm in Disney feel the same way. I had it, just not the same way as I do when I walk into the Magic Kingdom. But like, I don't think it's fair to compare them because they're just so different. But you feel it in the, like, at least I felt it in like the things that you're actually doing. Like when you're in Tomorrowland and you look up and you see the people mover track that is still there because it's structurally like required to be there. They can't take it out. The whole building will fall apart. Like, and you see that, and like you ride the Matterhorn, and it like, it's loud and it sucks and it's low to the ground, and then like you're walking around and you're like, why is this park laid out this way? Like, it's the things that like sort of that have not changed that just like stick out, and like not even in a bad way. Like, I complain a lot about like the map of Disneyland and how like horribly laid out I think it is, but like it's definitely like an homage to like when it first opened, like to its original like situation, because like in no world I think did Walt expect, he probably wanted, but no world did he expect, I think, like tens of thousands of people to come to his parks every day, right? Like, I don't think it was ever designed to be this like worldwide phenomenon in the way that it is now. But the downside to that is that the walkways are like this big and there's only one, and you're like, oh my god, there are 500 people touching me right now, and I'm just trying to get to Tiana's, and it's like, move, you are walking too slow, and your kid refuses to get in the stroller, and then there's a scooter hitting my ankles. It's like, what is happening? And in those moments, like, you really feel, I think, the classic Disney feel, like, and it's other little things, like the Tiki Room pre-show, like actually being the pre-show with like all the different tikis, like that's something that is classic to that version of that attraction, and like just sort of sprinkled throughout, I think, because there were things about it that just simply haven't changed, and I think what hasn't changed stands out more than what has, in that way.
How do you two balance, I assume, or because Mimi, I'm thinking you're going on some of the bigger rides that your dad won't. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So how do you balance your time and prioritize like what you really want to see, what you really want to do, when you have one of you that is more of a vibe chaser?
Well, we don't have any problem giving him the bags and walking away. I think that's like really the main thing.
Fantastic.
like, I mean, Mom and I rode Tiana's like 3 times in a row, and we were like, okay, like, I'll see you. Love ya. Bye. Like, you know, but I think like in the prioritizing what you want to do, understanding what's there before you go into it is really important. And obviously we had already sort of a natural understanding because of the podcast, and like we're Disney people and whatever. But the way that we really maximized that research was with the nighttime spectaculars. Like, there is so much nighttime stuff that goes on at Disneyland that I would have absolutely no idea anything about. Like, I did not expect there to be so much to do at night in Disneyland, and like researching that was really the number one way to do it for sure. And like, we wrote it all down, and we were like, okay, and then we'll run from here to here, and if we do the tour, then we'll get to see the parade and like whatever, and like all that kind of stuff. But like, once you're actually in the park, Genie, I've caved. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm in on the Genie thing. Like, it really does change the experience for sure. It gives you the space to like do whatever. I mean, honestly, like. And then I think after like that first day, because I do think you're able to do pretty much that whole park in one day, and after that first day or first day and a half, like, you now know what you want to do over and over again, and then you stick to that.
Yeah.
And the truth is, no one rode the Guardians drop tower. We didn't do that one at all, anybody. But there isn't, I can't think, other than Tiana's
And Space.
Maybe Space
he didn't
Mountain.
really not do
Everything else
all that
there
much.
is, yeah, it's not a. There's not a whole lot of what I would consider. Well, Incredicoaster was down, and I know that was one of the things Mimi wanted to do. But
that was really
not
upsetting. It closed like the
operating.
day we got there.
No.
And the Wheel of Death, nobody was about to get on that thing.
And nobody wanted to do Mickey's Wheel of Death. Nobody wanted to do that.
But I did.
Mickey's Death
So,
Wheel.
but so Jen, this is for you, right? And this, if I can do it, I know you can do it, right? I'm telling you now, when you go, because you will go
Yes.
at DCA, you need to do the Golden Zephyr. I
Bro.
It's not scary, but
Doing this
when I look
ride.
at it, I'm like, you're going around and thing. But I'm telling you, it became my favorite
Already,
thing.
I think I'm out.
It doesn't go
It's a
fast.
slow this.
It's
It's a
chill.
slow this, right?
It's
So
chill,
I think
it's chill.
there's plenty to do. There's plenty in the parks to keep you
Did you do the
busy,
Matterhorn?
and I did do the Matterhorn. As a matter of fact, I was inspired by Frank's Fedora cam, and I did the POV. But yeah, I mean it's I did, and I paid the price. It hurt. And my back was wrenched. But part of the problem is there's 2 tracks, and the
And
kids
my brother
insist.
only
Like
wanted
my
to
son,
go on the. He only
he
wanted to do
insisted
the
that
bumpy one.
Right. I don't want to do the bumpy. I want to do the bumpy one, which is probably the bumpy. I don't know if there's a difference between the 2 tracks or not, but he insisted that one of them was more, intense than the other, so that's the one we did. But I don't know. I'm
I'm
still
know.
not sitting straight.
I only had, I think we ended up being on the same, because I did it 5 times total, that maybe the first, I blame it on 2 different things. I think we were on the same track the first 4 times. We did single rider a lot, but the last time I did it at night, and I was like, I know what the track is. I can go with the turns. I can do all the things. But then when I got off, I was like, was I on the other track? Because I was like, that was way worse. And was it because it was dark and I really didn't know? The ride in the dark is what got me, because I just wasn't as prepared as I thought I could be.
Yeah, and we didn't do a lot of rides at night. We packed in the shows. I mean, there were 4 nights. We did 4 different nighttime things, right? And I don't know, when you're staying at the Grand Californian, and that was not the original plan, but when you can just walk out right into the DCA, I mean, you can maximize your time because you're just walking right back into the hotel when you're done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
I
there are
think
things
part
we
of
didn't
that
do.
is that I think
Even
part
though
of
we were
that
there
is that
4
we
days.
spend so much time walking in between the rides because the layout is so bad in Disneyland. You don't do any rides at night because like you walk from one to the other. By the time you get to the other one, like the freaking park's closed, and you're like, oh well, time to leave.
Yeah.
We didn't. Okay, you know what's weird about this trip? We didn't stay until the park closed once. We didn't stay until midnight once in Disneyland, and I really think that like is all a result of the fact that we were staying at the Grand Californian and that we just didn't have to. We just didn't have to because like we could get up early the next morning and go or like whatever, and it was so convenient and easy living 5 steps from the park. It wasn't expensive, yeah, and Papa's probably gonna be like, well, you didn't pay for it, which is true. Like I didn't. Which is, I mean, like, I'm not going to pretend like I sat here and I paid for it, but, like, I'm also not going to ignore the fact that they did and that it wasn't, it's not exactly, like, everyone's, like, spur-of-the-moment vacation situation. But, if you can, you should, I guess is, like, the point.
And because Frank, I don't know, you're on mute though, okay. How you were able to walk into
Yeah, well, when I was at Pixar Place, I could cross the street and cut through the Grand Californian. So it was kind of the same experience. All I had to do was go across a crosswalk to get into the Grand Californian. So similarly, and I think now the specific entrance they had for Pixar Place, it's either now closed because it went into the back end of Pixar Pier, or because they want all of Pixar Place to go in the same way Grand California does.
Yeah, that's why we didn't stay there. Like, because we thought about it. That was the original plan, was to stay there, because I'm a Pixar person. But then we were, like, reading about, like, the entrance, and it was, like, closed or something. And then we were like, well, if we have to go to the Grand California anyway, it's really not that all much of a difference monetary-wise. Why wouldn't we just stay at the one that is the actual entrance? Even though it's not far, we're just lazy people.
We're apparently all making Lewis crazy in the chat with the not maximizing your ride time.
Yeah.
But we did everything 1 million times, guys.
You left time on the clock, Mimi.
That's right.
We did everything 1 million times, like 1 million times. Okay, like it got to a point where I looked at everyone and I was like, let's do Indiana Jones again, and everyone was like, no. like 1 million times. Like,
part of the problem is we didn't wait in many queues either, because I think we had bought the pass thing, right? So when you're not waiting very long, you're getting the rides in, and it's like, okay, well, we've done Pirates 4 times, and we've done Indiana Jones 3 times, and we've done the Haunted Mansion multiple times, and so it wasn't that we weren't enjoying ourselves, but there was nothing left on the list to really get to, right? And I might be the vibe chaser. I could hang out and just hang out and do nothing and be happy. I can't say that about everybody in the family, right? And so at a certain point, they were like, we've already done all this. What are we going to do now? What are we going to do now? And I say, I'm just going to sit right here and enjoy this beverage and watch the world go by. And they're like, no, we want to go do stuff. So yeah, I think it's such a different experience. I mean, I think you can't go, I don't think you can go to Disneyland with Disney World expectations, because I think you run the risk of, I don't know how to describe it. I think it's like you run the risk of making it feel
almost.
right. You'll make yourself feel like it's not as magical as it really is. Like, you really gotta, because it's a smaller scale and because you can really get a full experience in fewer days, you almost have to force yourself to slow down and enjoy the trip. Because if you do the Disney World run, go, in 2 days you're going to be done, and you're going to be like, now what do we do? And you can have a resort day, but the bubble at Disneyland is not like the bubble at Disney World. You kind of have to work to stay in the bubble at Disneyland, because you're literally on the periphery of Anaheim. And even when you're on the monorail, like, you go and you're watching the outside world on one side, and the other side is backstage stuff, right, for the most part. So you have to pace yourself. If you have like 3 or 4 days, it's like you don't have to worry about not getting everything in, and you can take your time and just enjoy all the stuff that comes around. You can stop and watch the parade as it comes by. You don't have to, should we skip the parade? Or don't worry about it. You're gonna get everything done. And yeah, I think at the end of the 4 days, I mean, we were all they were ready because they'd been on the road for over a week, and I think we were eager to kind of say, okay, we did everything, we're ready to go back. But it's like I've told people, if I lived in the area, I'd be there all the time. The same way if I lived in Florida, I'd be at Disney World all the time. But
to that
it's
point,
a very different experience.
Yeah, and I said that Genie is like, I think the best, like, you asked like how to maximize and prioritize everything you want to do. I said Genie, and I do believe that. Like, I think it is necessary for your trip. We were using it the way a Walt Disney World person uses Genie, where it's like the time slot comes up and you're like booking it and like whatever, and like you're prioritizing which one you want to do. There was no reason to do all of that. Like, we did not have to be doing all of that. Like, there were time slots available for pretty much every attraction all day. Like, it was not that kind of thing. I kind of wish we had known that so that we weren't so go, go, go. And I think if we had slowed down and just chosen to wait in line every so often, like, it probably would have been, I think we wouldn't have gotten so oversaturated so quickly.
I'll say this. We were there 4 days. We felt like we had done everything, but there are things we didn't do that I didn't get to do that I had hoped to do. Like, there's, especially in terms of like trying different restaurants and different foods and going to different places like that. Like, that was not built into the plan very easily. So, you know, if someone said, hey, if you go back, you know, is there anything? Yeah, there's plenty to go back and experience again. I mean, we didn't do the Lamplight Lounge. I wanted to do the Lamplight Lounge. I didn't do the Lamplight. We didn't make our way. I wanted to go to the Disneyland Hotel and just walk around and check it out and go to Trader Sam's. We didn't do any of that, right?
Okay,
so
he's saying all of that as if, like, not at least once an hour we were checking for Lamplight Lounge or Trader Sam's thing. But he forgets a very important detail. He forgets a very important detail. My younger brother cannot get into Trader Sam's. He's not 18. So where was he going to go while the rest of us sat there? Also,
he could do whatever he wanted. He's 16, 17 years old. He can go wherever he wants.
With all love in my heart, as a college student, there is zero reason to go to the bar if you're just going to buy mocktails. It's a waste of everyone's time. So
Mocktails
now you've
and
got
food.
me and you've got my brother and then you guys just kind of like sitting there. Like, I guess we could have gone off and like gallivanted on our own, but like,
I think you
we did
misunderstood.
so much of that.
I wanted to do it, like me. No one invited the rest of you to this experience.
We didn't even invite you to the vacation. You inserted yourself into the narrative. It's not even your vacation.
What? Wait a minute.
You weren't even like
Greyhound is
supposed to go
backing
at
up over
all.
me again.
You weren't even supposed to go.
Jeez.
See, I say all of this and I make fun, but I'm gonna move to Disney World in January, and I'm gonna be like, "Where's my
Yes.
dad?"
We
Yeah.
need to talk about it. That is a fantastic segue because that is on my list of things to talk about. And I'm glad you brought it up because I wasn't sure. I'm like, can we talk about it? I don't know, in case we need to edit anything out. But Mimi, what are you going to do in January? What's up? What's going on?
So
Anything?
on January 12th, I'm moving to Disney World, and I'm going to live there for 6 months and work there and do the Disney College program. I have no other information about it at this current moment. I don't know what kind of room I'm living in. I don't know who my roommates are. I don't know what my role is. All of that is to come. But, like, it's to come 8 weeks out from my program. So, Christmas-ish is the vibe we're looking at for that information. Very excited. I'm not quite sure how the podcasts or how my guesting will work because I don't know what I can say. I don't know what I can't say. Especially because I know that there are like DCP influencers who like get fired or like have bad, like, I don't want to be a PR problem. Like, that makes me sound like an overinflated like situation.
No.
We're not like Instagram famous, but like I want to work there again professionally, and I don't want to be blacklisted because I do this. So, but all that information is to come. They haven't really given me anything. I haven't signed any sort of contract. I mean, I told them I was doing it, and I told them I was gonna go, and whatever. But they haven't, like, until I learn, like, what I can say, what I can't say, what I can talk about, what I can't talk about. Like, it's all kind of, I think it's all like free, like, reign until they explicitly say stop doing that.
Okay, you
but
haven't
I'm
signed
really
an
excited.
NDA yet.
I haven't signed an NDA. Nothing's happened, you know. But I feel like generally, like, it should be fine because they have, like, the Disney influencers aren't always well perceived depending on the kind of content they make, but there's a very clear difference between the ones that get fired and the ones that don't in the kinds of content that they're making. So TBD on what's to happen with Disney Assembled when I do the Disney College program, but I'm very, very excited to do the Disney College program, and like I can't, like, I don't know, I can't even explain it. Like, it's so vindicating for me, like, as someone who's been like thinking about this program since I learned that it existed when I was 13 years old. Like, like, it's been the goal is something I've talked about wanting to do for so long, and like now I'm actually getting to do it, and like that makes me feel really old for one, but also like I'm really excited and I don't know anything about it, and like that's kind of scary, like the idea of just like I don't know, like just I cannot conceptualize like what it will be like for me to live there and just go all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Can you would you like to share with Frank and Jen the lifeguard story?
Oh, I would love to tell the lifeguard story. Okay, so
tell the lifeguard story.
So I might end up being a lifeguard, which is really scary to me because I don't swim well. I can swim. I know how. I'm just like horribly bad at it. Like I'm just like I don't enjoy it. I don't think it's fun. I have no desire to be like good at it. Like fine. Like I can swim, okay? I'm capable of swimming. I just really don't like it. I think it's so boring.
You also
So,
don't
on
know
the
first
application-
aid or CPR?
Well, that too.
Right.
Well, okay. So
So tell them how this happened.
Right. So on the application, like when you apply, it has like 3 main roles that they ask you if you're comfortable doing. And I think that those are the roles that they're primarily hiring for, which is why they ask you about them like first thing in the application. But it also might be just because they happen to be like gross quotations, like because it was like janitorial, housekeeping, and like something else. And they're like, are you comfortable working in this space and doing this kind of work? And so I'm like, okay, like whatever, like I'm not above any of this, like frankly, like I'm just gonna humble myself here, like does the idea of like vomit really gross me out? Like yes, but like I'll get over it, I'll find some help or whatever. Like it's seriously like not the end of the world to me. So you fill those out, and then there's like the list of like the rest of the roles that you can possibly get. And then it says like please indicate your interest. So like the first 3 are like how comfortable are you, and then it's indicate your interest. There's like 2 different questions, and it's like yes or no. And so I call my mom and I'm like, do you think I'm shooting myself in the foot if I say no to any of these? Because usually when you apply to something, saying no, sort of they're like, oh well, you don't want to do this, cut. Like I'm not playing that game, because like I said, like any role is fine.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get in. Right? Like, and truly, like, I truly believe that any role is fine. If they ask me to be a lifeguard, like, I'll figure something out. Okay? Like, I get to be at the pool. Like, that sounds fire. But, so, you know, I fill out yes on all of them, which I also apparently filled out yes on character performer, which is, like, really funny because, like, that was never happening. Like, okay. So, I get in my phone interview, like, a week later, and the woman's like, it says here that like you're okay, that you're like have interest in being a lifeguard. And I was like, well, I don't really know if have interest is like fair, because it's a yes or no question. Like and when you say yes to any of them, does that one really stick out? No. And I was like, yeah, like sure. Whatever. Like I think I actually said that, like those words, to the Disney recruiter. And she was like, well, talk to me about that, like what interests you about being a Disney lifeguard? And I'm like, and I'm sitting at this desk. It's like 9 a.m. This is my dream job at the moment. I'm like, so I just start pacing, and I'm like, well, you know, like,
I love
I was
me
like,
a
you
resort
know,
pool.
well, I was like, I think that this is really what won me over won the woman over with this one, because I said, you know, I really don't know how to answer that. I've got to be completely honest with you. And she was like, huh? And I was like, you know, like, everyone comes in really prepared for these things, and I tried really hard to prepare for these things, but I have nothing on that lifeguard question. Like, I think I just said yes because this is my dream job and I would be happy doing whatever, and I'm sure every role you have has some sort of magical Disney spin, and that it's gonna be fun because it's like under this company at this location, like it's not just your local pool. Like, I'm sure there's something about it that makes it different, that makes it fun. And even if there isn't, I'm still doing it in my dream location. I got nothing. I have nothing specific to say about the lifeguarding. And she was like, well, yeah, like we do this, this, and this, and like the lifeguards do this, and like they're part of children's activities, and like she starts listing things that they do, and I was like, yeah, like that's cool. And then she was like, do you think you'd be comfortable like doing the lifeguard training, and like I should have said no. I should have been like, no, like I'm really not physically, well, that's not fair. I'm not physically fit enough for that. I just like really would not do well at all at the lifeguard training. And like, you know, and I was like, yeah, like whatever.
Sure, send me.
And that was that.
But yeah, and to your point about social media, Frank and I just had this discussion recently because I had been noticing my algorithm was giving me all the people who like, it's because you see some people like doing the transitions into all their different costumes, and then you see people in a parking lot and they're like, well, I just got fired for being in this parking lot. And they're like, there's more to this story than that. But, you know, Frank and I are so old that back in our day, there were none of these social media and camera phone contraptions to be taking any kind of video with. So it's a crazier world when all of that has to be taken into consideration now as you're working there.
Oh yeah, and I'm really grateful to have had like parents that were like made it very clear to me early on that like this is gonna matter. I don't know, like the social media thing's been really interesting because I would love to post or like even create like an Instagram for my friends to keep up with so that I don't overflow my personal with whatever. And then if I make it public, then the podcast people can follow me because I try to keep my personal Instagram separate from my podcast people because it's just like a totally different world. Sure. And you can keep up with it and I can sort of blend the two worlds. But, you know, I'm really also at the same time not trying to get in trouble for doing something stupid. I'm playing the long game here with the college program, and I said that in my interview too. I was like, she was like, why do you want to do this? And I was like, well, because this is my stepping stone. Like, this is my entry level job. This is the long game. This is not the end, like for me. So. And
the advice I've been trying to give her is from someone, I haven't worked in a large corporation, but the politics of working in a large corporation and finding your path to what you want to do is really important. And part of that is, politics is a bad word, but a lot of it is just building relationships, meeting people, volunteering for extra shifts, going and, somebody is needed over here, let me go try that out. Oh, let me get to know my supervisor really well so that, you know, they can put in a good word for me. I think to Mimi's point about some of the social media people who are having trouble in the college program, a theme that I've seen has been they let their social media persona be their thing. And I think what happens is they isolate themselves from the other people that they're working with. And then so people like, well, are you being sincere and genuine and love working here? Or are you here to make content? And that creates a conflict. And what happens is in a company with young people who are maybe a little unsophisticated about the way of the world, if they have a beef with someone, they're going to go to the supervisor and make a complaint. And then that person's going to follow up with a written report. And then now all of a sudden, this person feels isolated. They can't make friends. Everyone's out to get them. And now they're getting written up. And my point to Mimi, my advice has been, if we need to stop doing the podcast while you're doing this, if we need to halt this so that you aren't being put in a position where you feel like this social media or this podcast person has to have a space in a place where it's getting in the way of building the relationships and the connections you need to achieve your long-term goals, then pause it. We can stop for a while. It's okay, right? It's not the end of the world. It's an end. It's a means to an end, right? And so go enjoy yourself, meet people, make sure you're friendly, make sure you're helpful, make sure you're the kind of person that people say, hey, I remember Irene and how helpful she was and how she was always smiling and you know, she put in her shift and she was always there to help people out. And because those are the people they're going to remember, and those are the people that the supervisors, when you apply for a full-time job or a seasonal job or whatever, they're going to say, oh, I remember this person. Yeah, this is the kind of person we want on our team. So, you know, don't let this character of this social media person become the driving force behind what you're doing. Go there, make the guest happy, do your job, and it's going to be hard. You're going to be tired. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to get yelled at. You're going to get whatever by people. Just look, Mimi's worked in the service industry. She knows what it's like to stand there and have somebody treat you with a lack of respect. Hey, it's great training for this because, as much as we have this impression of Disney World being this magical place where everything is wonderful, it's also a place with real people doing hard work who have to deal with all the pressures and challenges that go along with that. And I think that part of her experience, I think, is going to be really important, and how she manages that and how she uses that to help her, prepare for whatever she wants to do afterwards, right?
Yeah. I think ultimately, like, what's special about our podcast, though, is that I don't feel like there is a persona, I guess. Like, this is definitely me, like, full stop. Like, it's not polished. Like, I'm in my dorm. The dorm's messy. Like, I'm just sort of, but to that point, like, I think the college program I've had some, as excited as I am, and like how, like, just honored and excited and just like dream come true I'm feeling. Like, there's also been this like really like looming raw feeling of like, I'm not qualified, prepared, capable, I'm terrified, like, to do this. And what I'm sort of coming to terms with is that it's not that I'm scared of like the job and like doing it. It's like the fear of like being there and like not getting what I want out of it. And I've been very much turning to this like mentality of like being unafraid, like not even brave, but like unafraid, and choosing to be unafraid and choosing to go to like all the networking stuff. Like it's like what Papa said, like it's means to an end, like long game, and like it's gonna be fun.
Start practicing. 2 fingers. Yeah. 2 fingers.
I prefer
whatever. Like I think like whatever role I end up in, like whether it's my dream role or like the one I wanted the least, like I think that I'm put there for some purpose, and like it doesn't need to be that we don't have to have this existential conversation about like God or a journey or the universe moving us in the directions we need to move. But I think like whatever I'm doing, like I'm meant to do it, like, and that you can only do so much with what you're given. And the social media thing is really exciting, and like the idea of being like, hi, like let's get ready and go to Disney World, like, and I live there and la la la, but like head down, locked in, like being kind, being
pull the yellow
unafraid.
strap. Make sure make sure the buckle is pulled. Can you tug the yellow strap? The yellow strap.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing.
Well, before we start waxing existential, because I feel like we could easily turn a corner there. I mean, I think from 2 people who did move to Orlando and spend some time there, the advice is always just go do everything. Just do anything that comes up, go do it and have fun with it. I mean, there's I think everyone has different barometers of the pixie dust, and if you're, some people haven't been to Disney that much, so it might take longer for the ramp up, and then they're all in, or somebody might be going in all, that has all the knowledge and comes in with the pixie dust, and then the pixie dust wears off. It's all different, but it's if you're going and trying all the different things, the try everything mentality, I guess, with the Zootopia song, I think what's hard and what ties back in what's going to be hardest, if you when your college program experience is awesome, that tying it back into this conversation, like I think for Jen and I both, a lot of why we go back to Orlando is because family stuff aside from childhood, but that working time, like we love Orlando. We love going around Orlando. We like seeing the different sites of Orlando that are still there. What's new, what's different. There's just so much to enjoy that sometimes people can get, the I-4 traffic. Like it's just the way it is. But that's really a big part of it is, the fear of the unknown factor is always a thing, but Orlando itself is really awesome, and there's so much to really do and experience that's like an extra element. Going to the parks, visiting the resorts all the time, going to Disney Springs, going to see a movie, and just I'm just gonna go to Disney Springs to see the movie. Like those things that you can do really enhance everything, because the magical hour is just as cool over on the opposite side of the city than it is down in the middle of Epcot. It really is. And so being able to do going to see a shuttle launch in the middle of the night is really cool. There's things like that come up that it's just really going to enhance your experience overall. So we have this 2-month cliffhanger that we're leaving this episode on here as we await.
Yeah, we'll come back when I get my role, for sure. And I will be like, hopefully I get to be a character attendant. That's the dream. That just sounds like so much fun. Like, put me out in the heat, put me in pants, put me in the long sleeves. I don't even care. Like, let me walk around with anyone and just... Like, I don't know, like, my passion for this goes quite deep, and I talked about it in my interview, and then the woman on the phone was like, well, all our roles kind of have something similar, and I was like, oh man, okay, like, fine, but, like, I was like, I don't know, it just, I quoted Hamilton in my interview, and it was really embarrassing, and I'm like, I regret doing it, but I was like, this is, like, the room where it happens, like, the characters, like, it's, like, young and the young at heart, they all love the characters, like, it's so fun, like, I don't know what I was saying, but, like, that's, like, the dream.
You gotta throw that stuff in. It's Disney. It's a Disney interview. They want all that. They want that stuff.
I was like, this is where it happens. But, like, to Frank's point, being in Orlando is also going to be really cool. Shuttle, beach, okay. My boyfriend's a cheerleader. They go to Daytona. I went last year. Hopefully, I'll get at least one day off to go again this year. That was freaking awesome. Also, Papa's not going to like me for this. Universal's in Orlando. Never been. Epic Universe is open. Yeah. I can go to Epic Universe for a discounted price because I'm a cast member. Like, that's so crazy. The concept of, like, I'm a cast member. The concept of, like, the badge that's probably going to be, like, framed and put in a little shadow box on my wall forever. Anyway, I can, like, I'm just going to jump around and gush about the college program.
Love it.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. And I think it'll be harder because of all these things. It'll be harder to go back to Disneyland. Trust me.
Yeah, back to Disneyland. So yeah, Disneyland's cool. The 70th was cool. The tour was cool. It just what I thought was successful.
I just want to go back and see my friends in Orlando. Let's just go back to Orlando instead of Disneyland.
Let's just go to Orlando, and then we can go to wherever I was stationed, and, like, we can go visit. It'll be so fun.
And that becomes the nostalgia right there.
I've been really peddling this idea of, like, well, my leave date is blank, redacted from the internet. My leave date is blank, like, like, you guys should come, and then we can stay for, like, I don't know, like, 2 weeks after, and just kind of, like, hang out, And they were like, okay, Mimi. Whatever. They're gonna be like, they were like, you're gonna be there for 6 months. Why do you need to be there any more time? And I was like, what kind of a question is that? Like, I don't understand your question.
You sign up for another 6 months right after that. Well, I don't,
That's what I'm saying. When I go back the summer in between my junior and senior year for my internship, and then bag the return offer, and then move there when I graduate, what then?
That's good plan.
You just got to finish college.
She's driven.
This is part of the whole thing. We're too far into it. You must finish. So.
Well, I'm gonna finish. Duh. I'm not gonna go to UT and then not leave. Like, I love UT, but I'm not gonna, like, come here and not. This is so off topic. The 70th.
That's all.
The 70th.
No, it's not. Let's see if you make it for the 75th. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
But all right, well, we'll wrap it up. I think we got a good sense, and especially as it pivots back to Walt Disney World here, like we usually do. It's a salute to all theme parks, but mostly Walt Disney World. I will pass it over to Troy and Mimi to plug all the things and all the places.
Yeah, so Disney Assembled, the podcast, is available on all your favorite podcast players. Just look for it, Disney Assembled. Mostly, most of our listeners are Spotify, Apple people, but yeah, you can find us there. Mimi, where else can our friends find us?
They can find us on pretty much every social media except for Twitter, all at Disney Assembled. Mostly on TikTok, mostly on Instagram. Our website's DisneyAssemble.com. All the other information and all the information Papa just said is on that website. Make sure to check it out.
Well, thank you both. I'm looking forward to all the news coming down the pike because I just live vicariously to. Because Mimi, it was 30 years ago this fall that I started my cast member journey. So now to be like reliving it all in my brain as you hit all the benchmarks along the way. I didn't do college program, but I was in college while I was at school. So
Same
I
diff.
also was at school.
Y'all
while
should
I
come
was a
visit.
cast member. Yeah.
Oh,
Y'all should come visit.
We sure will.
Oh, sure. No, yeah. Well, we always find a way.
Right. Right.
I mean, it might be 2 weeks before when we decide, but
Right.
Well,
yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah. We don't
That's
like
okay.
plan, but we pop up. Yeah.
That's okay. As long as you get there.
Until next time, that's Troy and Mimi of the Disney Assembled podcast. She's Jen. I'm Frank. Bye-bye.
Deuces. The DIllo's Diz podcast is hosted by Frank Cardillo and Jen Cardillo Snyder. Music produced by Matt Harvey. Logos and video production courtesy of Snydillo Studios. DIllo's Diz Resort is our Patreon with tiers starting as low as $1 per month. You can visit DillosDizResort.com to learn more. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, X Twitter, and Facebook at DIllo's Diz. Check us out on YouTube by visiting youtube.com/DillosDiz. Don't forget to like and subscribe while you're there. We also have merch available on TeePublic and Etsy. For all this and more, visit our one-stop shop, DillosDiz.com. DIllo's Diz Podcast 2025.